Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. Today we have Netflix 386th film from 2021. It's the South Korean romantic comedy called Sweet and Sour, or Saekomadalkom. It's directed by Lee Gye-byeok and stars Jang Ki-yong, Chae, Soo-bin and Krystal Jung. I'm Jesse, I'm your host. Thank you for joining me today as we keep going through these Netflix original films this 2021, through those pandemic years of a lot of international releases. So as always, if this is a film that you haven't seen and you're interested in checking out, give us a pause and come back a little bit later on, because we will spoil the film as we progress through this episode. But we do start our show with the Fast Flicks, where we do a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one, it's about a couple that go through the ups and downs of a relationship and their work commitments. This is a super tricky film to talk about without giving the film away. So I'm probably going to mention multiple times throughout as I speak. If you haven't seen it, pause. Don't listen further, because I will spoil this film as we go. So around the world, this film is called a variety of different things. In Spanish, it's called Sweet and Bitter. In French, it's called A Bittersweet Story. I don't mind that one. In Czech, it's called Love is Sweet and Sour. Good. That adds a bit more context rather than sweet and sour meal dish that you might get, I guess. In Greek, it's called A Bittersweet Love. Again, don't mind that one. Hungarian, Ukrainian, and in Russian, it's called The Sweet and Sour Taste of Love. And in Chinese, it's called Sweet and Sour Love You. So the other titles, they all sort of tie in more of the romantic take on this film, other than the English translation, which is literally just Sweet and Sour. This is based on a Japanese novel called Initiation Love by Kurumi Inui. So it's not actually a Korean story, it's a Japanese story, but obviously those cultures do have some similarities throughout. On the 9th of September of 2019, Chae, Soo-bin and Jang Ki-yong were confirmed to play lead roles in the film, and then we go forward a month to October of 2019, where Krystal Jung, who I believe is in a famous K-pop group, I'm not aware of who they are, but she joined the cast as well as a parallel lead in the film. Principal photography for the film began on this date as well, the 8th of October 2019, with filming wrapping on December 23rd, 2019. The film, as we've seen many times throughout this stage, was originally planned to be released theatrically in 2020, but the COVID-19 pandemic spread and cut down the ability to distribute this film, with many cinemas around the world being closed. So it was ultimately released on Netflix worldwide on the 4th of June 2021. This was made in South Korea, as mentioned before. What are the critics and audiences saying about this film? So on Rotten Tomatoes, it doesn't have a critic consensus. There's only 4 reviews. One's fresh, 3's rotten, so not too positive there. Audience has it at 45%, so that's a little bit on the low side too. That's on less than 50 ratings. But if we jump across to the more audience-centric platforms like IMDb, on 3,800 ratings, it sits at a 6.6 out of 10. That's a super solid score. As well as on Letterboxd, a 3.1 out of 5 on 18,000 ratings. And it's actually been logged by 24,000 people. So quite a few people have got onto Letterboxd to rate this film. But what are my thoughts on this one? Do I agree with the critics that we could see not too good, or more with the audience? I think anyone that's listened to this show over the years know that rom-coms probably aren't my cup of tea, but this is a rom-com that I like. I'm almost as surprised as you may be. It's got this almighty twist that might not land for everyone, but I liked it. So yes, I'm positive on this film. Let's talk about the characters. And again, this is super tricky. I'm going to give away the movie here. So last chance, pause, come back later on, because this even talking about the characters is going to spoil this film. So we have Hyok. Hyok is our main male protagonist, who throughout the film, the audience, we're sort of deceived that it's this one guy, but it's 2 separate characters with this reveal at the end. And I'm going to refer to them. We've got a fat Hyok and a skinny one. And as the audience, you literally think that it's the same person because they have the same traits. Like, these guys are both engineers. They both let Daeun, the girl, push them around. They both meet her at a hospital. They're both jealous of the doctor that she works with. They both hate sweets. So this is where we're at. The skinny version is, I guess, sent off to work in the big city and commutes every day, which puts a lot of stress on this relationship with Daeun, and this leads to him cheating with his co-worker. And I guess she also, Daeun also cheats too with this fat version of Hyok. This may not be making any sense if you haven't seen the film, and I apologize if that's the case. And the film, I guess it's all told non-linear, so this creates that good ending, that twist that it's 2 separate people and not the one person. I mentioned Daeun, she's the love interest. She's this nurse, and she has these two guys going at once, and treats the skinny one pretty poorly, and is a bit secretive with her himself. So I guess they're both as bad as each other. Realistically, it's hard to come up with a positive character in this film, because you've also got Jung, who's this up and coming designer, like the skinny version of Hyuk, and she's obviously ambitious and wants to win this contract at this where they're working as well. And they make her out to be a bit of a slob with her eating and her cleanliness, as well as conniving a bit to outdo Hyuk, like taking his coffee order to give to the top bosses at work and things like that. So and she also, I mean, it's not blatantly said, but did she know that he was in a relationship with Daeun as well? And the idea that she's happy to go after a guy that's in a relationship. This is, apart from the chubby fat version of Hyuk, I don't know if anyone's actually a good character in this film. But it's okay. It's okay. Let's talk about the director, Gye-byeok Lee. 4 directing credits, including this. And I guess the other big thing that you need to say is they were the second unit assistant director on Oldboy, which is a Park Chan-wook film that a lot of people would be familiar with as well. So obviously getting some good practice with some big directors in Korea. Let's talk about the scenes. As I sort of said before, I know it's probably not politically correct, but I'm going to refer, we've got skinny and fatty Hyuk. So the film starts with the fatty Hyuk, and he's in this hospital bed, and he's got hepatitis or something, and everyone's freaking out they're going to catch it, and his parents come to visit, and his mum's got gloves on, and she's like, oh, you're looking so skinny. And he's obviously not skinny at all, and she puts this mask on. It was just funny. I thought that was humorous. There are some funny moments in this film too, especially Daeun. She's the nurse that is looking after the fat version of Hyuk, and she's outside smoking, and the fatty Hyuk catches her, and then so they're outside talking, and then this grumpy old nurse comes out, and she pretends that it was him. He was the one that was smoking, and she's yelling at him like, I'll discharge you if I catch you again, and you've been a bad boy, go to your room. I thought that was also funny. Then we see slowly this fatty Hyuk guy is falling for Daeun, and he's told by the doctors, well, you don't need to be in hospital much longer. You're going to be discharged. And he's so desperate to stay so he can further connect with Daeun that he starts coughing again, pretending he's sick, saying, can I stay another 2 or 3 weeks? And the response is literally, no. That was also humorous. Daeun, she calls the fatty version of Hyuk at one stage to come over to her place. She's home alone, and he's so excited. He races into his parents' bedroom. They're sleeping, to take the car keys. And the dad just sits up in bed, and he's like, what are you doing with my car? I thought that was quite funny. It was a good line. This fatty Hyuk guy, he changes the light globe for Daeun in the house, and we worked this out later on that this is going to really impress her, because the skinny guy never did it, and she kisses him, and he just goes so hard for a bigger kiss. That was also humorous, and she's like, back off a little bit. The fatty Hyuk, his parents, they're like, why are you so happy? And he's like, well, I've got a girlfriend. And his dad's like, yeah, right. Also thought that was funny. I like the scene at the restaurant where the skinny Hyuk and the Boo Jung character, his co-worker, they're invited to come over to the table at the restaurant with their bosses and the big wigs of the company, and she's just been knocking back drinks. She's so drunk that she insults them by making some reference to the way that they speak English, and that he must be Japanese. And this is obviously an insult. So I thought that was really played out well. The skinny Hyuk and Daeun, they're in the car driving around, and it's ready to have this big big argument over him cheating, and in the background the radio is reporting a news story about a cheating colleague. I thought that was also clever. Skinny Hyuk, he's at work, and Bo Young mentions that you seem so focused today, and then he just kisses her. I audibly gasped. I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked. I was like, wow, he actually did it. I didn't think he was going to do it. So they I thought that was very, very interesting move, and that sort of ended up the ending towards the end, where the whole end, this skinny Gye-byeok guy, he's been left behind, he's cheated on his girlfriend, and he's reminded of this Jeju place, which is a holiday destination, and he had a trip there with Daeun, and he had one booked ready to go with her, and he's getting reminders on his phone, and there's posters around, and he ends up at a karaoke bar where there's a song about it as well, and the prize is a 5-day trip there. I thought that was all funny, really good too. And then that twist, I liked that twist, even though it confused me at first. I liked the twist of the two Hyuks bumping into each other and realizing this is two separate people, which was quite interesting too. The things that didn't work, there's this whole creepy ghosts of Christmas past sort of character at the workplace. He's always there at work telling Hyuk to stay at work all the time, take the opportunity, work hard, don't go home to see your girlfriend. I thought that was a little bit lame. And then the whole Daeun, there's a moment where she reveals she's pregnant, and this sort of creates a bit more of friction between the two, I guess. And she goes to get an abortion, and then like they're waiting for the appointment, and she tells the skinny version of Hyok to go wait in the car, just like, I can do this by myself, and he does. I thought that was a really poor move, bit of a dick move. And then they get home after this appointment, and they're just lying there, and his phone's going off, and it's work, and he just leaves her to go back to work. I didn't like that at all. Some themes, some ideas in this film, I think, like obviously the idea of the struggle of long distance relationships, that can be really tough, as well as that idea of cheating. It's bad too. And the Korean society is highlighted here through the issues they have with contract work, and how hard people have to work to push themselves to impress, because there is no job security. There's such a lack of it that you've got to work those extra long hours, and that makes it almost impossible to have a work-life balance too. What did I take away from this film? There's this motif of light. I really like that. I thought it was really well done. I touched on this before in one of the scenes, but the light globe in the house, that skinny Hyok never changed. And then that one moment where the fat version of him comes to the house and changes it. And I thought that was a really good symbolism of all the lights always going off, or it sort of goes against, in the office. It's clearly time for Hyok to leave, to go home, leave work, go and see his girlfriend, and the lights and the power always went out. I thought that was really done well throughout. So big tick from me for that. I've got some questions, some pondering, some thoughts, some ideas. I think the whole transition, the twist, I guess, it wasn't a twist at the start, but the transition from fatty version of Hyok running, saying, I'm going to lose weight, to the transition of the skinny one in the same shoes going for a run. I was like, surely that's not him. It looked like a completely different person. And then as the film kept going, it probably took me a little bit to forget that. So the end didn't really surprise me that they were two separate people, but they did a good job of transforming that, I guess, throughout. I've got that question, that idea. At what point in their lives did they start doing wrong to each other too? With this cross non-linear story, it makes it a little bit difficult to identify that. And that idea too is romance possible, and is it worth it with these two, especially in Korean society where everyone has to work such long hours. Even as a nurse, we see throughout the film, Daeun is forced to just pick up shifts when she can, and all those sorts of things. So it's an interesting sort of thing to ponder and think about too. We do see a phone number. This is where the fatty version of Hyok he's left the hospital, and he's desperate to get back in touch with Daeun. And based on how much she works, I don't know why he didn't bump into the hospital, but he steals her phone number from work. And I guess that's probably a negative message from the story. It's okay to stalk someone until you find their phone number. That was a bit weird. There was a moment where the fat version of Hyok, he's wearing this Nike t-shirt, an NBA t-shirt that says The Lake Show, and I just laughed so much. This is such like a LeBron-loving Asian culture thing to see on screen. I just thought that was quite funny as well. Another sort of observation, there's a moment where Jung and skinny Hyok are sort of having this affair or this relationship, and they're at a bus stop, and there's kids running around, and you can sort of see that Hyok, you can see in his eyes that he's a little bit upset to see this because he didn't end up having a child, and there's a mention there where Jung says that she wants to have a baby soon, and I thought that was a little bit interesting, especially then later on where he finally decides that he can't have who he wants, so he goes back to Jung and proposes to her, and he offers her a ring, and she's like, nah, what are you talking about? Like, seriously, I'm not there yet. What mixed messages? You have her telling him that she wants to have children, and then when he proposes to her, she's like, nah, I just want to travel and live my life. I just thought it was a bit weird too. I did like the credits at the end. They were in reverse, so that was cool. I thought that was good too, but I think I've spoken enough about this film. I'm ready to wrap this one up. We give the film a rating out of 5 on this show. For me, I can completely understand why people might not like this film. The film, it does plod along in the middle a little bit, and the protagonists, as I sort of mentioned before, they're not very nice people, but it did work for me. I thought it was good. I thought the twist worked, even though it had me second guessing at the start how this transformation happened. So I think it's worth a watch. Give it a watch. This is a 3.5 out of 5 for me. Solid film. We're on socials. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we are on X, formerly known as Twitter, with the post for this episode. I just wanted to ask, I always like to ask a question, I guess, but there's a moment in the film where Hyok comes home from work and Daeun tells him, like, go have a shower. And this really, like, the question for me, I think, do you shower as soon as you get home from work? I just think that's a really good routine. I used to do this as soon as I walked in the door from work. It just made me feel fresh and up and about, but now I've got young kids running around at home. It's almost impossible. You walk in the door, you just jump in that shower when you get an opportunity. You can't just come home and have a shower straight away anymore. So question there, do you shower as soon as you get home from work? I just like that idea of coming home, relax, No longer at work. I've had a shower. I feel fresh. Other than that, we are back next week. Another international film next week. What a surprise. From 2021. This one's from South Africa. It's a romantic comedy called Tripping with Candice Amis. It's directed by Jayan Moodley and stars Jaloshini Naidu, Maishini Naker, and Mariam Bassa. Cool. I have no idea what this is about, so let's get onto it. Let's watch it this week. Come join me next week. As always, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you then.